Welcome back. The mask is back. Okay. Hello, hello. This was a decent card. It was actually decent, I would say. Now, what we were given isn't actually what we expected. We expected, with what we were delivered, very mediocre, very poor. And yes, the card itself is very poor. But the fights were actually decent, I would say. Actually not bad. And starting with Angel Jubilee getting KO'd in the first round by Selekid, this was a great one. This was very satisfying because you go back and you see these clips that resurface actually. It's not, you don't have to go back very far to find this stuff now. But you see Angel Jubilee talking about how he'd submit and KO if he wanted to in the first or second round Khabib and Islam Makhachev. That's just ridiculous. And, you know, people are like, oh, why is he being hated on? I mean, did you guys not hear that? Like, dude thinks that he's without a single win in the UFC, beating the top guys. It's just crazy. I mean, of course you have to have that expectations. You have to be confident, but I mean, dude is like confident with no real good wins. So if you had and if you had shown good skills, but it's just I got caught. Like Volkanovski, he has that excuse against Topuria. Like sure, but this dude is talking like he's Topuria, you know? I mean, okay, no, he's not talking like that every single day, but or every interview, but there was this one clip where he was literally in an interview. He was talking in his own, language, but in the translation of it, the the English translation text there said below where he was on the podcast, he was saying, "Oh, I think I could submit or KO Khabib or Islam in the first round," and it's like, bro, what? When have you ever showed that capability? I mean, it's just also funny. It's just a funny KO seeing that he got KO'd in the first punch and then the ref just didn't give him a chance. It's funny. It's just a funny KO and it's satisfying. You can't lie about that. And also the just the memes of it, the YouTube comments were going crazy. I can only imagine all the other social medias. I don't use social media, but except YouTube, of course. But I mean, this was yeah, great fight, fun fight. Not great, not great. It was just fun to see him get flatlined. I'll be honest, not flatlined, but it was funny. Okay, it was funny. And then Jusei and Malakith. I was surprised with Malakith. I didn't know that he had this kind of a kicking game. And Jusei, I mean, I honestly thought, he got low blowed in the first round and he was actually keeping it competitive. And without the drop, 10 seconds after he got low blowed, without him getting head kicked, I would have given this to Jusei because he had the more impactful shots in the first round aside from the head kick that dropped him. And I think that the low blow did impact that because if you look back at the fight, you'd see that he did get low blowed. The ref didn't notice. It wasn't too big, yes, but it definitely made him a little less focused, and that resulted in him maybe not as reactive to the KO, not KO head kick, which could have KO'd him, you know? So that drop from the head kick definitely impacted the fight, and I think it would have been much closer otherwise without that head kick coming after the low blow. So ultimately, I think that, Kevin Jousset, he's still good, but I mean, Malakif, we didn't know that he had this good kicking game. I mean, it's really good. Body, head, he looks like Dricus du Plessis out there. Not with the punches, of course, Dricus, he's a wild man out there. He's a marauder, right? But this was good. I liked this fight. It was pretty decent. Malakif, he's a decent guy to look out for in the division, actually. You know, I thought it would have been a tougher test for him. Kevin Jousset, he had some experience in the UFC, so I thought it would have been a little harder for him, but it was pretty close anyway. And moving on, we have Rong Zhu and Cody Steele. Now, with this one, I thought that Cody Steele would, considering that Rong Zhu had a weakened chin, I thought that Cody Steele, because he has gotten rocked before, he has a lot of fights, and he has been dropped and knocked out in previous fights. So I thought that Cody Steele, he would be able to find the shot because he also has a lot of KOs. So on top of that, he has a decent grappling, and I thought that he would be able to implement that here, but Rongju was on it. Cody Steele didn't implement many grappling exchanges, but it was the boxing and it was the striking. Even though it says here 5'9" and 71 inches of reach for both of them, I don't think so. I think that Rongju, maybe he just fought with his range better, but I thought that Rongju looked way longer and a little bit taller. He looked like a proper 5'9" in height, but Cody Steele looked like he was 5'7" out there, to be honest. So um, I think that Rongju was fighting a lot more technical, a lot more longer and rangier. Although I did say that when it comes to these wild exchanges, um, I don't know if I said it for both of them, but I think I said it for Rongju. I think that they sort of. Oh no, I did say it for Cody Steele, I remember, but I don't know if I said it for Rongju. They do kind of. This goes for both of them though. They do kind of in these wild exchanges. Um, they just kind of wing big meaty hooks at each other. So it's yes, Rongju had the better eyes. He had the better reach. He had the better um, shots in those moments. But um, I don't think that. I think people are overrating Rongju a little bit. Yes, he definitely looked good in this fight, but they weren't like in these brawling exchanges. Rongju was getting hit sometimes, and Cody Steele is making his debut. So people are acting like he's a prospect now all of a sudden. Some people. I don't really get that. Dude got KO'd one fight previous. So Cody Steele though, I mean he's you know almost 30. I don't think he's going to be anything. He might win some fun fights, but yeah, this was a pretty clean victory for Rongju. Aside from the fact that they were both just winging shots sometimes, just you know, like Josh Emmett it felt like, although not as well set up. And then Alessandre Topuria and Colby Thickness. Now, this kind of went how I thought in the sense that Topuria, he was gonna have to deal with. Now, I wasn't spot on. I understand, but it did kind of go with how I thought, where it's like, you know, Alessandre would take over late in the fight, and then earlier on in the fight there would be some like, oh, there's actually some competitive moments in the fight, but the narrative in this fight is completely wrong. Everybody's saying, oh, I actually thought that Colby won the second round all of a sudden. I don't know where this is coming from. Alessandro Topuria was parrying all of the shots pretty much in the first and second round, especially, people are saying the second round. Like we all know that he won the first round because he almost dropped Colby Thickness. He rocked him really badly, but then he kind of went for the grappling there. It was a little bit of a low IQ moment, but that's okay. He's green, he's new, he's gonna learn from that experience. And then in the third round, when people are like, "Oh, I don't know," the judges might think that he lost the second round. He went to a smart decision to outgrapple him and take him to deep waters, as he put it eloquently. And you know, the second round, yes, I think Colby Thickness landed more. I think we're all in agreement there that the UFC stats there were wrong and that Colby Thickness landed more in that round, but he landed so many arm punches. Like none of it was clean. And while he was landing arm punches and much of it was being deflected with Topuria sort of just flicking them away, all these little pitter pat shots that were doing nothing. Topuria was landing body jabs. He was landing good leg kicks, which almost took Colby Thickness off his feet at one moment. It almost flipped him around. You could see it. Not flipped him, but it twirled him. And that was more effective than any little combination that Colby Thickness had in that round. He had one good straight punch, but that was it. Nothing else really. So Alejandro Topuria on damage and on significance and effectiveness, he definitely outdid Colby Thickness in the second round. I don't know what people were seeing in that round, but yeah, Alessandro Topuria, I think he beats Peyton Talbot. I think he beats Raul Rosas Jr. I think he beats a lot of prospects. However, he is kind of old for a prospect making his way into the UFC. He is 29. older than Ilia Topuria, who already has a great legacy to his name at 28 or maybe 27. I think he's 28 right now. So, I don't think he'll be any more than a top 10 guy, but his boxing looked phenomenal. I do think that he needed to go for it a little more. I do think his patience, there is some truth to what Bedtime MMA was saying, where he was just kind of aura farming off of just like looking intimidating at moments. I do think he could have thrown more leg kicks, thrown more jabs, thrown more right hands, and he was kind of just aura farming, but that's okay. He's going to learn from it. So, yeah, glad to see him win there. And Kong Wang beating Bruna Brazil. I kind of expected this, although she did it a little more dominantly than I expected. Similar to Dricus du Plessis against Sean Strickland, but similar, flow to what I was thinking. I thought that she would just out leg kick her, out jab her, mainly the kicks, but also certain combos that she would land when Bruna Brazil was keeping a high guard. And yeah, I mean, Bruna Brazil, I wish that she made this a little more entertaining. Like some of these fights, we got to stop like I know that most MMA fans agree that these women's fights aren't that entertaining, but there's been like this little resurgence that it's not the fact that they're it's the fact that there's just not enough interesting fights. Like no, they're just not skilled. Let's just put it like that. They're not skilled enough to do anything. They don't know what to do when they're put up against good female fighters. They're like, "Oh, there's not enough skilled women." Like, yeah, but like MMA is like, oh yeah, but Amanda Nunes versus Keela Harrison, that's one that I would really be interested in. Yeah, maybe, but I feel like with all these women's fights, you kind of are like, it's either going to be like a tit for tat, boring split decision, or it's going to be a dominant one that you're kind of confident in either way. Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes, yeah, that's a little more interesting, but it's pretty clear that you would basically either go with, is Amanda Nunes going to get taken down, or is she going to have ring rust or whatever, or is Amanda Nunes going to just outbox her? That's really all the thought process goes into. With all these male fighters, it feels like there's a lot more intrigue in that, and there's a lot more breakdowns. There's a lot more analysis. With these women's fights, there's it's pretty simple. Kong Wang, if she's not facing a girl with good takedowns, she's gonna land the jab. She's gonna when the opponent is already leg kicked to oblivion. She's gonna land these shots around the guard, and she's just gonna pitter pat you to a decision unless you have a weak chin. That's basically how it goes with these women's fights. It's either a dominant one or a split decision where it's super boring. So, I mean, this idea where it's like, oh no, it's just that the right women's fights aren't being made, or oh, they're just not skilled enough yet. It's like, yeah, maybe, but also I just think that they're not as interesting as the male fights. I just think that's the case, because Bruna Brazil, she could have went for takedowns more. She went for one takedown. This is similar to Yao Zhao Yan. Uh, I hope I didn't butcher that, but versus Tabitha Ricci, I think it is. And, she just the co-main event in the UFC Fight Night Macau with Figueiredo and was it Yan? Uh, Piotr Yan, yes, yes, Piotr Yan. In the co-main event of that fight, Yao Zhao Yan was just picking her apart, and Tabitha Ricci literally landed like zero strikes in the first round. At least try, like some of these women are just they just like fight in the UFC to have it in their freaking Instagram bio or something. It's really cringe. It's really like it's just like throw a strike. What are you doing? You're just trying to get some like um simps on your Instagram. That's really all it is. So, yeah, I'm just like I picked Kong Wang, so I'm not frustrated that Bruno Brazil, oh, she didn't go out there and try like bedtime MMA or something like that. But I'm frustrated that I'm frustrated that women's fighters aren't actually doing anything. They're just statues for the other opponent, really, most of the time. For the actually skilled opponent in Kong Wang. Kong Wang is actually decent. And she's gonna be a ranked opponent, but you know, if you have good jiu-jitsu, it's gonna be probably a wrap. It's probably gonna be over. It's over. I feel that's a pretty fair remark. Tom Nolan defeats Vyacheslav Borshev, you know. This was this is one thing where I don't remember who said this. I think it was Horse Beef MMA. He said that, you know, Tom Nolan's like a Corey Sandhagen for lightweight. I kind of agree there. He has, you know, if he had, like, if Corey Sandhagen still had the ferocity, because now he just kind of is like a pitter pat jab guy. Vyacheslav Borshev, you know, he's good, but he couldn't get on the inside. That reach was too much. That height was too much. And Vyacheslav was, he has taken too much damage. I'll give MMA Joey props here because this prediction was spot on from him. He's just, aside from the fact that he didn't get KO'd, Vyacheslav, but he was spot on with the fact that Vyacheslav took too much damage previously in his career. Every shot kind of hurt him, you know? Whereas Tom Nolan could take the shots pretty clean, and I think Nicholas Mota just hit him with a perfect shot when he fought Tom Nolan. So, not much else to say here. He's just kind of like a lighter weight class Corey Sandhagen, it seems. Better elbows, better spinning attacks, just very good eyes, very good reach, utilization of that reach from Tom Nolan. He's definitely improved. I mean, his reaction time as well, just seeing all these shots, even when he was on bottom. Vyacheslav Borshev was landing some decent shots, but he was landing some, Tom Nolan was landing some good shots off of the bottom as well, which, you know, not often you see that kind of stuff nowadays. So yeah, good stuff. Gabriel Santos versus Jack Jenkins. I knew that, you know, Gabriel Santos was being slept on by some of these bigger UFC YouTubers. Now, yes, granted, there were 36% of people on Topology picking him, but still, like, that's pretty, like, underrated, you know? People were underrating him because Jack Jenkins showed good boxing against Herbert Burns, okay? Herbert Burns is the reason why Jack Jenkins was being picked in this one. I mean, come on, you know? Gabriel Santos, yes, he got dropped in the first round with a head kick, but then Jack Jenkins almost got dropped with a head kick, a front kick, in the third, I think it was. Yeah, which led to the submission, you know? And then even in the second round, Gabriel Santos was outpiecing him up, outstriking him, and ultimately he got the takedown halfway through the fight. I mean, yeah, halfway through the round, second round, and it led to just a clear second round win. He was just, you know, the far superior grappler. You know, when you have Charles do Bronx in your corner, these rear naked chokes, which he got beautifully, perfect under the chin, perfect technique. When you get these guys like Charles do Bronx, whom also has good takedowns now, we see against Michael Chandler. The takedown comes easy after the front kick, beautiful head kick, and then he gets the choke, you know? If you got Charles DuBronx, you're gonna get these things done. It's as simple as that, and he did it, you know? He's like a featherweight Charles on his come up. That's what I would say. He's like a featherweight Charles DuBronx on his come up with maybe less good hands, maybe a little less good boxing. So yeah, I mean, Jack Jenkins showed decent boxing in the first round, but yeah, the first round was a bit of a rough start. But Gabriel Santos, I knew that he was good. I knew it. I knew he was just better than Jack Jenkins. And then Jake Matthews versus Francisco Prado. Basically, how I thought it'd go. I mean, Jake Matthews better, more technical on the feet, and you know, even though he got taken down, good timing from Francisco Prado. He got right back up. He showed better strength, better speed. Basically, Francisco Prado has big meaty hooks, and that's about it. And he doesn't even have the good sit-ups that Josh Emmett has. He has decent power, but not the same kind of power as a Josh Emmett. I'm mentioning Josh Emmett a lot, but that's because he is the big meaty hooks guy. And you'll notice that there are some of those types of fighters in this event, which just threw big meaty hooks with no setup, no like telegraph to the body and then to the head. Not really anything there like significant to note here in this fight or card really. So you know, I'm basically saying this to say that Josh Emmett has some underrated setups, and you know, Ilya's the goat for making him look easy. Now back to the fight. Okay, I went off a tangent there, but he's just the GOAT. Ilya's the GOAT. That's all I gotta say there. And back to the fight. Jake Matthews, he's got great boxing. Not quite the same as a Mike Morales or these guys in the rankings, but he's just shy of the rankings. He's pretty good. That was a younger version of him when he lost to Matthew Semmelsberger, and now he's improving. He showed a good speed, good technique, good eyes, sort of like Rongju versus Cody Steele, basically like that, I would say, but little less competitive, little less interesting, little less explosions. Although similar, definitely similar. And we have Jimmy Crute. Although I did say, I must say, one thing that I was wrong about, I thought that Jake Matthews would implement grappling more, like against Phil Rowe. Um, but he didn't, and he was confident in defeat. Again, similar to the main event. So, yeah, Jimmy Crute versus Rodolfo Bellato. I had a feeling that, Jimmy Crute was going to try to come on strong in the first round, and he did actually do that, it was great. But then I don't know where this narrative is coming about all of a sudden as well. All of a sudden where it's like, oh no, I actually don't see a 20 28 28. I see it a 29-27 or whatever. Some people are saying that Jimmy won the second round. I don't see that. I thought it was a clear draw. Good judges, scorecards for once. And, two draws in his last three fights. That's pretty crazy for Jimmy Crute. I thought that Rodolfo Bellato was the more skilled fighter, honestly. I thought that coming into this, Jimmy Crute would be the more skilled fighter, and it was competitive 100%. But if it wasn't for the fact that Rodolfo Bellato was so dazed after slipping up, let's be honest, after slipping and giving up a takedown in the first fight, I mean, first round, because that's what happened. He didn't fail, I mean, he kind of did fail a takedown court, kind of. It was more like it wasn't really Jimmy Crute shooting a good shot and then Rodolfo Bellato just never able to get up, although it was kind of like that for when he did get taken down, he wasn't able to get up really. It was more like um, they just kind of got into a weird scramble or a weird situation and then he just happened to end up on bottom. So, if it wasn't for that type of situation, I could have seen Rodolfo Bellato getting all three rounds if it wasn't for the fact that he got battered and coming off of a weird scramble situation early in the fight, and then he just got battered off bottom. Whoever got bottom situation, I definitely would have seen them getting battered like that, and it just so happened to be Rodolfo Bellato. But I definitely could have seen Bellato winning if it wasn't for the fact that he was dazed when he got up, and then that resulted into him getting dropped after getting a right hook off the guard, or not off the guard, but around the guard. Jimmy Crute landed a beautiful one, even though he had his guard up. It's just, 4 ounce gloves, that's how it is. Bellato then came back and he won the last two rounds, second and third. It was a good fight, but man, I don't think Jimmy Crute has it. I don't. He was stepping into the jabs, he was stepping into shots similar to how he got KO'd against, um, what's his name, Jamal Hill. And, he had sweet dreams with that one. But Bellato doesn't quite have that power, so he wasn't able to capitalize. Now, Jamal doesn't have this crazy one-shot KO power, but he definitely has better power than Bellato. That we can see. So, yeah, I mean, I think the rematch makes sense. And Talison Teixeira versus Justin Tafa. Predict this to a T, aside from the fact that I thought that it would be a 1-2 down the pipe. I predicted that it would be a first round KO, and I predicted that Justin Tafa, he's just not that good, let's be honest. The reason why he was able to get Austin Lane out there in the first round is because Austin Lane just doesn't really know how to fight. He was, I think, a footballer or something like that. He was doing some other athletic sport or competition, and he also just doesn't have a good chin. We saw against, what was it? Not Tafa, but the guy who fought Marcin Tabura. Ah, frick. I don't know what's with these blog guys and me just forgetting their names, these guys in heavyweight. But the guy that KO'd Austin Lane last time, before Austin Lane took Robelas to Spain to a decision, I'm not gonna remember the name, so I'm not even gonna try anymore because I made that mistake last time when I was trying to remember Mark Hunt with his fight against Stefan Struve. But yeah, this was a great fight for Telson Chichera, great win, and yeah, I would like to see him against maybe the loser or winner, but I would say the loser probably of Martin Bidet and Kennedy Nzechukwu. I really mispronounced that name. I mean, if you go back to my 308 predictions, um, I'm just, off with that name. I'm not great with pronouncing names. That I can tell you. But great win. Kennedy Nzechukwu, I think, versus Martin Budet. I think he should get the winner or loser of that, probably the loser. And then Talshin Chichera, if he beats that guy, I mean, he's looking at top 15 as well. Same with if Kennedy beats Martin Budet, you know? I just think that Telson Chisera, like, he's really nasty on the feet. And he went for the takedown, so maybe he has good grappling. I do think that because he's, not the most athletic guy in the world, you could tell in his physique. He could get taken down by Jailton Almeida or someone like that, maybe a Tom Espinal as well. But I think he's a good prospect to look out for. So yeah, Justin Tafa, he KO'd a guy in Austin Lane who he doesn't have a good chin. He's coming over from a different sport. He doesn't really know how to fight too well. He's just an athletic, tall guy, so he can utilize his attributes. But, Talshin Teixeira is actually just technical for a heavyweight. For a heavyweight, I gotta preface. So, good performance. And we have Weili Zhang versus Tatiana Suarez. I told you guys, unless Tatiana Suarez just has a strength advantage, combined with a slightly better skill in the grappling, there's no way that Weili Zhang's going to lose this. And, Weili Zhang picked up Shaq for a second, even if it's just for a second. The dude is freaking heavy. So the fact that she picked him up, it's like, yeah, she definitely would have a freaking strength advantage here. That I know. And Weili Zhang also had the striking advantage. One thing I gotta say though is now that we know that the only really interesting fight in her division is Jandiroba, Verana Jandiroba, I think her name is. Now that we know this, and people are talking about, oh well, she should move up to fight Shevchenko, Valentina Shevchenko. I'd really not like to see that. I don't know why everyone's saying that. I understand it's the perfect time to do that match, but they both have still, like back in the day, people were trying to go for 10 title defenses, even in the women's divisions. Like Joanna Jędrzejczyk had um, five title defenses, Shevchenko had eight or seven, something like that. And then for GSP, he had eight defenses. John Jones had something like 12 defenses. Say what you want about how he's a drug cheat, which he definitely is. But I mean, let's be honest. Like these guys were going for title defenses like crazy, and so Willie Jank has three title defenses. Like, come on. I understand that, I was making the case for, oh, this guy should move up in the past, but, I'm kind of over that. Like, Verena Jandaroba, whatever, she is skilled, especially with her jiu-jitsu. If she could get the back, I could see this being like a Talia Santos versus Valentina Shevchenko, where it's actually really close in the grappling. Like, proper close. Tatiana Suarez is skilled. She has a good wrestling background, but she doesn't have the jiu-jitsu to capitalize, I think. And Jandaroba actually was doing good on the feet against some other girls like Lemos and that Mexican girl who trained out of Canada. She has like a small build boxing. I forget her name, but she actually did good against some strikers before. So Verana Jandaroba, people are doubting her, but she actually has some decent skills. And Weili Zhang, honestly, I think that Shevchenko would beat her. I know that people are saying, "Oh, she's number one pound for pound." Listen, Shevchenko is bigger, and she's going to have the grappling edge. And just based on that, I know it's going to be close, but Weili Zhang did get taken down off of Suarez in the first round, and I think that Shevchenko is close to Suarez in skill. Um, and when it comes to striking, Shevchenko she's landing straighter punches. She's got better kicks, in my opinion. Weili Zhang has push kicks that land to the belly, that land to the chest. Shevchenko's landing to the head much more. She's got way quicker jabs, quicker, if I could pronounce that right. She's got spinning attacks, and Weili Zhang does not have the back takes, in my opinion, to capitalize like an Alexa Grasso. So I think that it would be a 49-46 for Shevchenko. Weili Zhang is really good, but I think people are sleeping on Shevchenko. And when it comes to Minon Fiorot, Minon Fiorot is going to out strike Shevchenko. So that's the fight we need to see. It just depends on if she has the grappling to stand on the feet. If she has the grappling to uh, stuff the takedowns against Shevchenko, that's a more interesting fight. Verena Jandiroba versus Zhang and Shevchenko versus Menon Fiorot. Those are the fights to make. I'm sick of these like, oh, now that we have the chance to do it, let's do Shevchenko versus Weili Zhang. I think that yes, it's more like big for the sport to have a woman finally move up again for once for a belt. Try and get that double champ status, but there's still a little more work to do in the division, and if Fiorot loses and Verena Jandiroba loses, yeah, let's make the fight. But there are still two clear contenders in, both weight classes. Let's do that. Let's go for that. And Drake Duplessis versus Sean Strickland. Here's the thing, you guys. I lost clear this time, and the Dutchman headbutted me. That's why my nose split. Now he didn't actually say that, but I wouldn't have been surprised. Like, there was a time where I actually really liked Sean Strickland, but I gotta agree with the MMA fans' consensus at this point that he's kind of boring now. He is. The shtick is boring, all of it's boring, and he's, losing fans, it seems. But, I mean, let's be honest, he would beat Adesanya, he would beat Imavov, so I'm sick of this idea that, oh, Adesanya's gonna get his revenge. If he fought like how he did against, DDP, maybe, right? But he doesn't have the KO power, and Strickland's defense is far too good. Strickland's defense, yes, it got figured out. You just got to keep throwing techniques, but he doesn't have the boxing that Dricus has, and he doesn't have the head kick setups that Dricus has. Let's be honest. And I mean, Dricus has better cardio, in my opinion. He has a much better output even, and we know that Adesanya has been figured out. He has a lesser chin, you could say. Maybe he just got figured out, and maybe that's why he got rocked and dropped in many other fights now. But, Strickland could drop him again. Like, I don't know where this idea that, oh my gosh, he's gonna get his revenge tour now. It's just a little crazy to me. Brother just got KO'd, and we're gonna say that? Come on now. Come on. But I think Kyle Brauhau would be, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I hope that fight can get made, or if not, Kyle Brauhau versus Robert Whitaker. I think that Kyle Brauhau, he can beat both those guys. He's bigger, longer. He's got the grappling. He's probably got a much better chin. His striking's improving much more, and I think that against Cannonier, people are like underrating Cannonier now. Cannonier is gonna beat freaking RoboCop. Mark my words. He's gonna beat freaking um, whatever his name is. Um, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it's like, come on, this dude's like unranked and he's facing number 6 or 7 ranked Cannoneer. It's a freaking crazy jump up. Dude should have fought her, Joe Pyfer or Hermanson or Dolidze. Not RoboCop should have fought one of those guys, not freaking Cannoneer. He's gonna get freaking destroyed. You saw freaking the Hulk. Um, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name, but the guy's nickname's the Hulk. You saw him on short notice KO RoboCop, whatever his name is. Baralho? No. That's the freaking guy that should fight Robert Whitaker or Strickland. Ugh, the guy that looks kind of like Obama. People are saying that. Kind of funny correlation, kind of funny comparison, I mean. But anyway, like Sean Strickland beat Cannonier arguably. So this idea that oh he's washed. No, Drake has just figured him out. He has great game plans and he's gonna beat Hamzat. In my opinion, Sean Strickland beat Cannonier by close pitter-pat decision. And, Cannonier doing what he did against Strickland, even though I thought he lost, he still had a close decision. Cannonier is good. He's really good. And the fact that this guy who has insane boxing and Cannonier, people are now saying that he's going to get outboxed, outworked by RoboCop? I'm sorry, what? What makes you think that? Oh, he beats the great Brad Tavares. Oh, what? What are you guys saying? And he beat a freaking karate-esque style or a freaking, maybe not karate, but like a kickboxing sort of um, mix mash of like techniques with, what's his name? Duncan, Christian Leroy Duncan, CLD. But come on, man, that's just not good test, a good enough test. The dude is like number 40 in Tapology, CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan. So I just think like, people are underrating. I say all this to say people are underrating Drakus and Strickland now. Strickland's good, it's just that Drake has figured him out. And, Cannonier's still good. These guys are still good. Like Vittori, um, say what you want about him, but he has a chin, okay? And maybe he'll be beaten by Dolidze because he'll game plan better with the takedowns and such and whatnot. But I mean, I don't know. I think these older generation guys, even though they're getting beat like crazy, I think that they gotta be respected, and these guys at the top still need to be respected. Like Adesanya, yes, he got KO'd and he's not beating Strickland, but he needs to be respected as well. I think that he would piece up Brendan Allen. He just he landed moments in the Imavov fight, but that's because Imavov gives a guy like Brendan Allen those moments on the feet. So yeah, I think that that was a pretty decent card, honestly, kind of unexpected. And 8 out of 12 on the card. I did much better than most MMA YouTubers, and even better than most Tapology people. I got number 8, not 800, 787 or something like that, 781. I did pretty good out of like 8,000 people that made predictions for this card on Typology. So ultimately, I enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. The mask is out.